Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of Today's Youth. And today we will be talking about challenges facing youth to enter the job market. And we're glad to be joined here at the studio by Mohammed Sameh. He's a graduate of International Relations and Diplomacy. Thank you very much for joining us, Mohammed.
Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure being here.
It's our pleasure too. Mohammed, tell me, why did you choose international relations in specific?
Well, I always had a passion about politics and history and geography. I always found it very fascinating as a child, and I used to always ask a lot of questions regarding the countries and how they deal with each other. And after I spent a few years in Europe living there for my bachelor's degree, I decided that I wanted to learn more about international relations, and I did my master's over there.
Mm-hmm. And why did you choose to study abroad in specific?
My initial goal when I first thought of pursuing my education abroad was to learn a new language. So I decided to go to France and learn French. I joined a bachelor's program held in partnership with my home university in Cairo, the Arab Academy for Science and Technology. And I studied business management in France. And after I spent the required time to fulfill all the requirements to graduate and hold the bachelor's degree, I realized that now I have a stronger understanding of the French culture and history, and I learned a lot about the language. I decided to pursue my master's diploma in Italy.
Yeah.
I traveled to Italy to also learn Italian aside to French, and of course do my master's over there in international relations in the University of Bologna.
How did you manage to live abroad on your own? How was your experience studying abroad and being on your own? I mean, having your own responsibility, feeling independent.
Well, honestly, it's a great experience, and I would give advice to anybody my age to try to actually pursue this experience. You learn a lot. I mean, there's hardships and there's also a lot of benefits. You meet people from all around the world, especially if you live in a city like Paris, for example, where people from all around the world come and live there. You build a very strong international or global connection and acquaintances. You learn how to be self-reliant in a sense, because you do your expenses on your own, you pay your bills, you take care of your cleaning and your laundry, for example.
Yes.
And you only have yourself to rely on. So.
And how did you manage your time between doing everything, being responsible for everything, and at the same time studying and I mean being totally on your own and finishing your errands on your own?
Well, before I go to Europe to pursue my academic my education in France and then in Italy, I had in mind that after I'm done with my education, I'm going to get back to Egypt, because I always wanted to live and work in my country. So I knew for a fact that my stay in Europe was only limited to the length of my educational program. So I had limited time. And I always wanted to grasp all the opportunities to learn and grow and gain more experience and knowledge in the fields that I'm interested in. And like I was saying, this could be challenging in a sense, because when you go live in a place that's totally different, a foreign land, and start a life over there, and still be responsible of keeping up with a very demanding educational program. I was enrolled in the University of Bologna, which is one of the oldest academic institutions in the world. It teaches you a lot of life lessons, because you, as I said, you become a quick thinker. You know how to deal with problems faster. And the challenges is basically being integrated in a new society. And you have to be flexible to understand that people are different, and that you need to integrate in the society while keeping your individual identity and heritage.
you definitely faced a lot of obstacles, challenges, and hardships during your study abroad. You were on your own, and tell me, how did you manage to overcome those obstacles and hardships? And what were those hardships?
I tried to always be goal-oriented. I wasn't just traveling for the idea of just going abroad. I wanted a goal, to achieve a goal, and I was there for a specific period of time, and I tried to achieve this goal as efficiently and effectively as I can, to come back and better serve my country and excel in the career path that I have drawn for myself.
Did you get a scholarship to study abroad?
Yep. I was very fortunate to be one of the Erasmus Plus scholarship. It's a grant for doing research.
Okay.
And I was nominated to do research on the top of the scholarship team in Sciences Po. It's an international political institute in Paris, exactly. Yeah. And I spent a year over there on scholarship doing research for my master's thesis.
Right, so you went to Sciences Po in Paris, and then you moved to Italy after that.
Well, I was living in Italy, and my university promoted me to go do the scholarship in France for a year on their behalf.
Right, after you finished, you definitely came back to Egypt, and you started to look for a job. Tell me, what were the challenges that you faced to find a job and to enter the job market?
Well, at the time, it was kind of challenging for me to enter the job market after I returned from Europe. I started applying for a job like anybody would, and I realized that it could be very lengthy to start applying for a national organization or a ministry. The process is very long, and there's a lot of competition because there's a lot of great youth that are entering the job market every year. But I tried to keep myself positive, and I started in a job that was kind of out of my domain. I started as a marketing officer in a publishing house, in a magazine. It's called Petroleum Africa and Renewable Energy Africa. They publish magazines monthly all over the world. And it was a good experience because I entered the job market. I had something to put on my CV aside to my education.
Yeah.
I spent there a year. And it was a good experience. I mean, so my advice is only to start. You have to start
in any
anywhere.
job.
Exactly.
I mean, to get the first experience somewhere.
Yeah.
In your opinion, how can we bridge the gap between academic studies and the job market?
You always have to try to do extracurricular activities because you won't have a competitive advantage next to your fellow students who just graduated if you only did your academic studies. So if you have only your academics and your diplomas on your CV, you're gonna find it a little bit hard to enter the job market at first. And this was kind of my problem as well when I first entered the job market because I had very little work experience. I only did one internship abroad, so I didn't have
enough extracurricular activities?
I had a lot of extracurricular activities, but not a lot of work experience, not a lot of internships. I was very busy with studying. So my advice would be for students who are nearly graduating is to try to enroll themselves in any kind of work, even if it's unpaid, because it looks better on your resume when you're applying.
Yeah. Tell me, what type of extracurricular activities did you pass through, or did you?
When I was in Paris, I was enrolled in a refugee aiding association, and when I was there, it was during the height of the refugee crisis in Europe. There was a lot of refugees in Paris. There was all the refugee shelters and homes were packed and full, and some of them were unfortunately sheltering themselves in the street. So I pride myself for doing that for the community. I was helping refugees during that time, and it was one of the best experiences that I had.
Right. Mohammed, you're also a former associate to the State Minister of Information. Tell me more about this experience and how did it add to you?
Well, before that, after I spent 1 year in the publishing house, I was still applying for something that would excel the career path that I drew for myself. So I joined an NGO before I joined the ministry. It was also helping refugees in Egypt, separated and unaccompanied children refugees in Egypt. And it was an educational program that helps bridge the education they received in their home countries to help them adapt to the system in Cairo so they can join schools in Cairo. But shortly after I joined, the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and educational activities all around the world, not just Egypt, was halted. And this was when I was very fortunate to receive the job offer with the Ministry of Information, which was newly inaugurated by His Excellency the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi at the time. I joined shortly after. And it was one of the greatest experiences of my life because I gained a lot of knowledge very fast. I was exposed to very high files and projects. And I was very fortunate to be working directly under the supervision of His Excellency, the previous Minister of Information, Mr. Osama Heikel, who was a great endorser of youth. He helped us a lot. He believed in our power and in our energy and helped us achieve the ideas we were putting forth. One day I was assigned a task to draft the departmental unit structure for a new unit to be presented in the ministry specializing in sustainable development. And I did so. Shortly after the appropriate approvals were granted to actually start the unit, we worked together with a great team of youth who I'm very proud to be a part of the team that was working. We launched the ministry's first national initiative. It's called Tanmiyah, Mubadarat Tanmiyah.
Okay.
Which was a great success as well with our partners in the Ministry of Planning, the Ministry of Environment. It was aiming basically to educate Egyptians all around the country about the importance of sustainable development. How can each individual achieve the SDG goals by the UN on a local and on an individual level? And I found a great passion doing that.
Right. Tell me, did you follow the youth conferences that took place here in Egypt? Talking about youth, you were just telling me about being engaged with youth. How important are youth conferences, in your opinion, in gathering youth together, in exchanging their views, their opinion, their ideas, and about different aspects, and especially the international youth forums that gather youth from all over the world, different countries gathering together in one place?
I think it's one of the most important initiatives ever created in Egypt because it really empowers youth. And as I was talking in the beginning of my speech, I was facing challenges entering the job market like a lot of people. I mean, everybody when they first graduate, they're sort of lost. They don't know what to do, where to apply, how do you start a new life, getting a job. So I think it's a very important platform for youth to find their passion, to mobilize their energy in a field that they're interested in. And it doesn't just do so for Egyptians. As you said, it brings people from all around the world and make use of their energy and power. I wasn't fortunate to be a part of the youth forums before, but I'm very interested in joining the next one. And the opportunity that was presented to me when I was assigned to be one of the minister's direct assistants was a great opportunity for me. So I would really hope for more youth like me in my age to have the same sense of achievement that I've received by being promoted to a high level rank and being able to work on files and present your ideas in order to benefit your country.
Mohammed, you told me you traveled abroad a lot and you lived actually abroad. You traveled to different countries. Tell me, do you think youth around the world have the same dreams and they face the same common challenges?
Challenges are very similar all around the world for youth because entering the job market is always a challenge with the same. If you always have a dream that you want to work forward to and try to achieve, you're always missing the means. How do you actually achieve this dream? And when you lack a lot of experience, because what all youth in the world have in common is that they're still unexperienced, they didn't get in touch a lot with the job market. When the governments and when policymakers help them to actually mobilize this energy, it's always going to be advantageous for the whole world.
Right. Tell me about your dreams on the personal level, your plans for the future.
Currently my tenure at the ministry has ended, but I'm really looking forward to working on national projects that have to do with sustainable development. And I think it's a great time to do so in Egypt right now because His Excellency, the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, declared that Egypt will host the next UN climate change conference, COP27. And I think this topic is very vital right now for all the world, really, not just Egypt, because the challenges countries are facing due to climate change is going to be very hard to face if we don't mobilize together. In his words, in his speech in Glasgow, the President talked about how African nations especially are facing a lot of challenges, desertification, lack of water, shortage of food, and it's really a collective responsibility between countries to face those challenges, because this is the only way we're going to be able to do so. So I would like to be able to educate more people about sustainable development, climate change, gas emissions, and how to actually become a better citizen and do the best practices in those terms.
Yes, Mohammed, tell me about, you were just talking about Africa. How can we create a bond with African youth? How can we get African youth together, create a bond among them?
I think we already started doing so in Egypt, and Egypt being a leader amongst its African counterparts, other countries in Africa. We took the initiative already. The President launched the World Youth Forums, which I think is a great platform. But the most important thing is sustainability. We need to actually draft policies that come out of these conferences with youth idea, with new energetic ideas, and actually start implementing them on a national level, not just in conferences, but each country has to actually implement those ideas on a national basis.
What do you think are the most important challenges facing African youth?
African youth?
Yes.
Of course, aside to having a stable opportunity to work and to put their energy in a good, beneficial circumstance, climate change is one of the biggest challenges, because climate change affects all sectors in life. Due to climate change, we can witness natural disasters, we can witness electricity cuts. So I think it's a great platform right now, the one we're hosting next year, COP27, to actually get to discuss youth challenges and how fighting climate change can help youth and empower them.
Right, empowering youth it's a very important issue. How can we empower youth in Egypt, in Africa, around the world?
By presenting them more opportunities, by taking them seriously, by integrating them in policy making, by presenting them opportunities that I was presented in the ministry, where I can bring forth new ideas and actually see them be implemented. I think this is the most effective way to actually empower youth.
Mm-hmm. In Egypt, the Egyptian leadership is giving great attention to the youth, empowering youth. What do you think is the role of youth towards their countries?
If people my age and younger receive a sense of achievement, I think they can work non-stop 24 hours to benefit their countries. But they need a channel in which they can deliver their ideas. So after all the new effects and efforts that have been putting forth to empower youth, I think people have to give back to their communities. They have to work on a local level to better promote best practices for their local governments in cities, in their communities, in their families, and it's very important.
Mm-hmm. Right. What would you like to tell youth about persistence and perseverance to achieve one's goals?
Don't give up very easily, because at the beginning it could be hard. You can have a lot of energy, you can be very hardworking, you can take your studies very seriously, but finding the opportunity could be challenging. It's not because something's wrong with you, it's just because the job market is very competitive right now. So always try to showcase your competitive advantage. Always try to speak out and say why you deserve this opportunity when you're applying for a job or for a scholarship. And eventually it's going to work, even if it takes time.
Mm-hmm. What's the message that you would like to tell to the youth from your place here?
Don't give up, and work for your country, and try to achieve something for your society, not just for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I would like to thank you very much, Mohammed Samah, former associate to the Minister of Information.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us,
Thanks for
and
having me.
all the best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this edition of Today's Youth. Don't forget to join us next week, same time. Till then, it's goodbye.